We're now ready to start step 3. And under step 3, we're going to learn 3 skills, and we're going to do them separately on 3 different videos. The first skill is the order of operations. We're going to practice using this technique that many of you are probably familiar with from grade school. You may have heard it referred to as PEMDAS. You may have heard it referred to as, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. But what does this all mean? Well, there's a certain expectation in mathematics that we all do math the same way. Otherwise, we could solve problems and get different answers and math wouldn't make sense. So instead, many years ago, they developed the order of operations. And the rules are, the first thing we do is handle the parentheses. Then we take care of exponents. Third, we handle all multiplication or division from the left to the right as you go across the expression or equation. And finally, we do addition or subtraction from left to right as we go across the expression or equation. Let me show you what this looks like. If we take a look at our first example here, 23 subtract 4 times 2, all in parentheses, divided by 7. So the very first thing we have to do is parentheses. Parentheses means only look at what is in the parentheses. We're going to ignore everything else. We're going to ignore the divided by 7. In fact, I'm going to cover it up actually, so it doesn't distract us right now. We want to look just at what's inside the parentheses, and from there we can apply the order of operations again. If we're looking just at 23 minus 4 times 2, the order of operations tells us that we would multiply and divide before we add and subtract. Multiplying, what 2 numbers can I multiply together? Well, I have a negative 4 times 2. What is negative 4 times 2? It's negative 8. The 23 drops down, so now I have 23 take away 8. Now another way to think about this is to think about just 4 times 2, leaving the negative behind. 4 times 2 makes 8. Then we bring down the negative. Then we bring down the 23. If that's more familiar to you, that's okay. But I'm going to reverse it back to how I started because I think it's better to continue to practice to keep the sign married to the number. I think it will make a lot more sense if we do it that way. So if I keep this negative married to the 4, just like we do when we determine what the terms are, I think it'll make more sense. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. The 23 comes down. 23 take away 8 is 15. That is what the inside of the parentheses is equal to. So now I can reveal what I had hidden before. What do I have left? Divide by 7. 15 divided by 7 is 15 over 7. Or, if you prefer to write a mixed number, 2 1/7. And it's okay to get a number like 2 1/7 or 15/7. That doesn't mean you did something wrong. That is our answer. So go ahead and box that so it's easy to see in my notes. Let's try the next one. Again, we have a lot of parentheses that we want to handle first. We're going to do our parentheses. The first thing I notice on the parentheses is that I have a plus and a minus. add -1. That's how I would read that. Add -1. Mrs. Merck does not like double signs right next to each other. Whenever we have plus a negative, that's the same thing as just negative. So we're going to rewrite this first. 4 times 5, take away 3, subtract 1. Oh, we have the problem again. We have another double sign issue. But this time we can't just change the sign because of this exponent. I need to get rid of these parentheses by applying the exponent. I need to do -4 to the third power. So off to the side, let's do that. -4 to the third in parentheses. What does that mean? That means -4 times -4 times -4. That's literally what -4 cubed means. And when I multiply those, I get -64. But again, I don't want plus minus 64 because that's confusing right there. So instead, I'm going to replace that with just a minus sign, one subtraction. And now it's a lot less confusing to look at it. We always want just one symbol in between each number or term. We don't want double signs. All right, we don't have parentheses anymore. We don't have any exponents. What's next on our list of things to do after we take care of parentheses and exponents? Now we're ready for step 3, which is multiplying or dividing from left to right. Multiplying only happens one time right here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take 4 times 5 and get 20. Take away 3, take away 1, take away 64. From here, the only thing left is addition or subtraction. We don't have any addition, but we do have subtraction. I'm going to do 20, take away 3. In fact, let me rewrite this off to the side. 20, take away 3, take away 1, take away 64. 20 take away 3 is simply 17. Take away 1, take away 64. 17 take away 1 is simply 16. Take away 64. The rule is when you have a number 16 and you can't take away 64 from it because 64 is too big, we have two numbers with different signs, so we're going to find the difference. Since I can't do 16 take away 64, I'm going to switch and do 64 take away 16. When I do that, I end up with 48. But my problem wasn't 64 take away 16, it was 16 take away 64, so I have to make that a -48. And that is my answer. So I'll put a box around it so I can find it easily in my notes. Let's try the third one. This will be the last one we try on this video. Again, focusing in just on the parentheses, we can even ignore the things that are outside the parentheses if that helps you to focus in on the parentheses. We'll bring those back in just a moment. Looking just at these parentheses, I need to focus on the exponents first. 5 squared. 5 squared is 25. And I bring down the positive. I rewrite the 9. the negative, the 10, and the negative. Negative 10, take away 9, add 25. All that's left is addition and subtraction. It doesn't matter which order we go in, we just go from left to right. It's not like we have to do the addition first and then the subtraction. We just start on the left and work left to right. Negative 10, negative 9. Negative 10, subtract 9 is another way of reading that. These two numbers have the same sign. When they have the same sign, we're going to combine and keep the sign. I'm going to combine 10 and 9. Pretend you have 10 objects and you have another 9 objects. Put them together. 19. Since they're both negative, the answer is negative. If they were both positive, the answer would be positive. Then I'll bring down my plus 25. Again, what we have here are two numbers with opposite signs. Different signs means find the difference, subtract them. And subtract them in the only way we can. We can only do 25 take away 19. We can't do 19 take away 25 because we wouldn't have enough. You can't take 25 things away if you only have 19 to start with. But if we do the opposite and subtract, we get 4. Since I did the opposite, I'm going to, actually, I apologize, let me back up. 25 take away 19 is what I did here because 25 was positive and negative 19 was the other number. I literally kind of thought of it this way, 25 take away 19. And that answer would be positive 4. But remember, we're not done just yet. What's in the parentheses is 4. But if you recall, we had stuff outside of the parentheses that we have to still take into account. What's in the parentheses is 4. There's a 3 outside the parentheses and a plus 2. Again, what does it mean when a number is just next to the parentheses? There's no symbol here, but that means multiply. So I'll put a little dot there. That means 3 times 4. 3 times 4 is 12. Add 2, we get 14. That's our final answer for this problem. Now, a nice thing that you can do with all of these problems, if you type them in exactly how they look on your calculator will give you the same answer. But you have to make sure that you have your parentheses in the proper place, that you're using the subtraction sign, not the negative symbol, and then it will work.